good, y'all? It's your boy Herb.
And it's your girl Mo.
And welcome to season 2 of our
soon-to-be world-renowned podcast, Young, Black, and Figured It Out.
What up, dog?
What it do?
Hey, do they say that in Brooklyn?
I don't know.
I'm like, okay.
I don't know where I got that from. It's been some years at this
I'm
point.
like, yeah, they must be saying that somewhere.
Here's hoping. But people laugh at me when I say it, so either it's me or it's me, you know?
Okay, it's one of the one. Okay, bet. I ain't mad at you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you feeling good about this episode today?
Yes.
Yeah, I forget about all the episodes.
I feel like that was a setup. You don't want to trap me in that question.
It's like, you got to say yes. People listening, so if you don't say yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. No, you're right.
Yeah. What up, dog?
You saw that face? He was not with it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, so you know how we like to start off?
Yes.
We experience things throughout our lives on a daily basis, a weekly basis, all that good stuff. We just want to know, what did you figure out this week?
I'd like to switch it up, knowing that we switched seats for you to start. What did you figure out
Dang.
this week?
Okay. I like how you did that. You know what? So this is key, actually, and I continue to learn this throughout, but like the importance of saying yes and letting other people say no. What do I mean by that?
Please elaborate.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you what I mean. So, like, there is this situation, right? So we had this event coming up, and we wanted somebody to come participate in that, right? And so just off like the previous instances where we had asked this person to do something, and because they're great at what they do as far as facilitating, they're great spokesperson. They have a good image in general, right? They bring good energy, but they oftentimes don't want to be involved in some of the stuff that we're doing,
right?
And so I'm like, one of my people who I was working with was like, yeah, let's ask such and such, and I'm like, I said to them, nah, they ain't about to do that. You know, it's no way. Like, it's over. I already know. It's no way. And they were like, well, I'm just going to ask anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and ask. Person said yes, right? Said yes, did it, and did an amazing job. And that not only was, like, important in the sense of, it wasn't just important in the sense of they did this event on, like, a holistic level.
Yeah.
It's more like, it's so many times where we say no to ourselves before we even allow the other person or other entity or other whatever to say no. Like,
right.
Yo, say yes to you. Yes, I'm going to go forward with this. And let them tell you no.
Yeah.
If the answer is going to be a no, then cool, it's going to be a no. But if it's going to be a yes, like, you will never know unless you put that out there, unless you ask for what you need.
You miss your blessing because you never ask.
Yeah, or you don't think that, like, whatever it is. Sometimes it's different reasons why we can say no to ourselves or no for other people. Sometimes, like, we don't deserve that yes. Sometimes it's like a protection mechanism. Like, you know what? If I don't go out and say, like, I'm saying yes to me, so I'm going to go ahead and make them give me a yes or a no, it could be I'm protecting myself from rejection. Yep. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so that's, for me, it's like, nah, and it's a constant reminder. I go through that. So I'll even put this out there. In my new workplace now, in the beginning, when I was going in there, there's a couple of things I wanted to ask for. I'm like, And even other people, because it's a survival mechanism.
Of course.
Like, man, don't ask for that. Don't do this.
I'm like, you're asking for too much. What are you doing? Like,
yeah,
come on,
be happy that you got this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
you balling now. Hey, just chill.
Yeah.
You gotta. But it's like, nah. When you expect a certain thing, like one of my affirmations I do or incantations I do in the morning is, I expect and receive only the best. It's like, nah. When you had that mindset, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna ask. And if it don't go that way, cool. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm figuring that out. And that hit me this week.
I'm proud of you for that.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to such and such who went ahead and did the yes.
Good luck, such and such.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Such and such out there, you know? Yeah, what about you? What you figure out?
A few things. I'm not going to lie. It's like, the importance of rest. But I will say the major one that really hit me was the importance of preparation. Yeah. Right? And that was just through school, because I'm still in school. And I have maybe 2 presentations to do per class, right? Yeah. And so this was my week. And I'm like, and last week when we were in class, everyone rose their hand because everybody has a presentation they have to do. So I'm thinking, because other people have had presentations or things do well before me, they're likely going to go first. But I was like, let me just have it ready just in case. And I ain't gonna lie, I did the work that day. I mean, I had all the pre-work done, so I literally just needed to do one thing, but it took me hours to get it done. And then
like put it together.
Yeah. So that it could actually flow as a flawless type of presentation, right? I like to, have my stuff where I don't have to overthink it.
Yeah.
And so I go to class, I mean, completely not expecting to have to present. I'm like, there's 8 of us. Everybody got something. I'm good. When it came time to who got an assignment, all the hands went up. Who's ready to actually present? 2 of us. Me and one other person. And I'm like, oh. Now, I could try to back out. But at that point, it felt like everybody else had some form of an excuse. Not necessarily in a bad way, like real legitimate reasons. But I'm like, I don't have a real legitimate reason except for I just don't want to, right? Point being, I was like, you know what? Bite the bullet and just do it. And if I did this now, then I have a few good weeks where I don't have to present at all. Like, okay, all right, just push through. You can do this, Mo. And I was really proud of myself for not only like having it ready to go and then doing it, but it just being successful. It's like it created a lot of good conversation and everything. Like it brought up a lot of things. I am very thankful for my clientele right now because it comes with good discussions and like things to work through and whatnot. But man, I promise you, if I had went in there unprepared, just resting and thinking everybody else got it, I ain't got to worry, I would have been more disappointed in myself, right? It was like, this is my week. This is my assignment for this week. I had no reason not to be ready. I was just relying on other people. That's not okay.
Yeah. So you own that. Preparation is key.
Son.
Dang.
Yeah.
And the funny part of I don't know who's watching that's on your joint, but they probably looking there thinking, dang, she had this and did this and had it prepared. This must have been 3-4 months in the making. And you were prepared doing that. You did all the pre-work, but in terms of putting it together, they wouldn't have known that.
And they'll never know.
Yeah,
hopefully.
that's because you do the work. But no, I agree with that. That preparation piece is dope. Yeah.
Yeah,
You always do that? Prep
for my presentations?
Yeah, for as long as I know you, you have been an amazing student, and I attach and attribute being an amazing student with like getting stuff done early.
Okay, that's funny.
So I'm like, have you always been like that?
No, I'm amazing at procrastination. And some of that is relying on the fact that I feel like I could pull it off, right? And that is not a good thing, but it is accurate, and I'm going to be honest. That's just how I've been at times. And so, like, we've talked about this sometimes when I know I have to meet with a client, I could rely on my memory, and it's going to carry me through, right? No one will know.
Yeah.
But will I feel as like confident or able to assist or help or guide if I don't recall anything that, like I didn't review anything. I didn't like look over things to bring things like that. So like I've learned in this course of life to be way more prepared than I think I need to be. Yeah. Like I'd rather be over prepared and have things in my bucket that I could pull out. You know what I mean?
Because then
it be coming in clutch. I promise you, one time it got to a point where I was so prepared that my clients just blew right through it. Like it wasn't an issue enough for us to discuss longer. Yeah. And something dropped in my head real quick, and I'm like, let's just do this, because there was a lot of tension earlier on, and I was like, let's just end in this happy note.
Yeah.
And I used this one tool of like, all right, tell me, you both write down on a piece of paper separately, don't show each other. How would you describe your relationship currently? Yeah. And then it's like, and then right after that, how would you describe your relationship a year from now? Like, what do you want that to look like? Sure. And it was such a good activity that popped out of nowhere that I'm like, I'm going to use this. Yeah. And it has become part of my toolbox. And man, when I tell you, we've come up with different couples, all these different things, like other issues popping up, things that they didn't necessarily know were there. I'm like, hey, me. So now I got more things prepared or ready for the future. It's just,
that's dope.
Thank you. Don't mind me.
No, that's dope. And those of you who just tapping in, maybe not, it's probably not too many, but for those of you who haven't seen this before, when she say clients, she's going to be soon to be a world-renowned marriage and family therapist. So she's working with that with the clients. So that's dope.
Thanks.
I love that.
That was good. I like
that. Okay, cool. All right, we figuring stuff out this week.
Holla.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. This episode today and the topic today is all about Can people figure it out? Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so today we're going to tap into a subject that could be a little touchy for people if they don't want to hear this, if you involved in this situation. But it's okay. We got to dive into this because we got to have these discussions.
Of course.
So today we're going to talk about how young is too young to get married. Right? How young is too young to get married. So a lot of folks right now, even though the numbers have actually dropped from in the past. So let me just go ahead and shoot the shot out here. I'll let y'all know. Today, 30% of young adults ages 18 to 34 are married. But 40 years ago in 1978, that was 59%.
Ooh.
59%. So things have dropped as far as the amount of people who are getting married young, but also, though, the amount of people who are getting married, period, has. But especially young, ages 18 to 34. So you think about that drop.
That's so trippy because that's our age group, yo.
Yeah, that's crazy. But if you think about that, though, 30% of the population is still, that is wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's still a lot. So, we got to talk through that. Like, okay, what are, especially, we're going to lean on you, marriage and family therapist. Nah, it's like, okay, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those people who right now I haven't gotten married, don't plan to. And in the context, at least no time in the very near future.
Yeah.
But in the context that I was in, like in my last, where I went to school at, my last job, all that good stuff, even people in general society, it's kind of like this expectation around getting married, especially like once you get into that age range, when you start creeping up a little bit, they assume that you should be married, especially for women.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to talk about that. Pros, cons, goods, bads, and how do we feel?
It is so dependent. You say that. I'm like, I think it depends a lot of where you live.
Yeah.
Like that influence pops in because like growing up in Brooklyn, ain't nobody, like the same thing with driving. Like driving wasn't a thing.
Nobody had a license.
Right, because we could take the train, we could take the bus. It was like no one was talking about marriage, especially at a young age. It's like, what? Who does that? You hear about people creating families, but you don't really hear about marriage. So it wasn't honestly till I came out here to Rochester, shell shocked. I was like, what's happening? There's so many. And they used to say this thing at school, ring by spring. And I was like, what is that? I'm 20 and I'm looking at everybody. What are you talking about? Not knowing that was part of just the culture here, right? Yeah. Which I'm like, oh, and it always confused me. But I think a lot of influences like culture, religion has a lot to do with it. What else would you say? Like family pressures, like you said, like how society views it. And I remember one time I went to visit my mom's church back in Brooklyn. This is for maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And one of them came up to me. I don't know. It was one of the elders or the deacons came up to me and was like, well, why are you still out there in Rochester? You got a man? For a man? I'm looking. I was annoyed. I said, excuse me? For a career? That just, nope. Not even it made me feel as though my worth did not exist unless I was attached to a man, right? And I did not care for that feeling, but I was like, oh, this is what people think. Yeah. And I might be damaged goods because I'm not married yet. And I fall in that like age range, right?
Yeah, like what's wrong with you? Why are you not married? Actually, it's this quote. Let me see if I said it. Nah, I didn't. But
what's it talking about?
Yo, basically the summary of it is for men, like ultimate goal is career, success, whatever. And then for women, your ultimate goal is a man who's going after career success or whatever. Like, dang, that's crazy. We ain't got to deal with that. But at the same time, it's like we ain't got to deal with that. Right. But at the same time, though, I think it's still pressure on that for men, It's just in a different way for different reasons.
And is that like regarding age too? Like when you're still young, or is that just in general, you think?
Nah, I think yes. So yes to when you're still young. I think the mindset sometimes can be, unless you are content and like hell bent on being a bachelor, the mindset can be like, hey, the good one's getting scooped, so you kind of want to, because you don't want to miss out on the one that's gone. Like, you don't want the one that got away story. This and the third. So it's almost like the subversive, way you're going about it. But I don't know. But is that really an issue? Get married young, like, isn't an issue in itself? No. Can I preface
Depends.
this? Can I preface this real quick?
Always.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie. I know some people out there who can get married young and do amazing, and will do amazing. However,
yes,
is this an issue?
Depends.
Talk
I
to
think.
Oh, that was a good. You could be a politician, but why?
Because, okay, so they tell you your prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet until you're about 25, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking of anyone between like 18 to 25 who plans to, is already, chose to get married. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think I just step into those shoes and go back to 18 to 25-year-old me. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know who that person was. She is not sitting before you today. Mm-hmm. And I'm positive her being married at that age would have been a hot train wreck. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So I'm not saying that no one should or it just wouldn't work. It's just a matter of, well, how well do you know you? Who are you growing into? Mm-hmm. Is the person that you're partnering with or attaching with, do they know who they are? Mm-hmm. Who are they growing into? Are you two headed in the same direction? Do you actually want the same things? And not just for like immediately or like near future stuff, like long term, what are we working toward? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like there's so many nuances when it comes to relationships in general that then adding the complexity of marriage when now you're like bounded on so many different things and aspects. Whatever happens to you is literally going to happen to me. Right. You cannot make a decision without considering me. You're like, you need my input because this affects me too. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that people sometimes don't think fully through, or their communication isn't as strong. So there's all these hurt feelings and there's tension and there's like these random issues that are popping up and they don't understand why. I think there's just levels on this question.
Yeah. It's a ton of different things you can go into.
Right.
So let's tap into one. Let's tap in on this idea of like not being like you haven't developed who you are yet. Mm-hmm. Like your own personal skills, not other things that go along with like that come as a result of you developing, like the finances and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But you, in general, you don't really know who you are yet.
Right.
And we always are going to be figuring it out. But you have a pretty good sense of your core values as you develop.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As they change, especially. Like things shift sometimes just by experience or like, meeting different people. It's like, I didn't think I would like this or support this, but all of a sudden it's like, I do.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to have a widened perspective about who you are. And then like if you, especially somebody who's after growth, experiences are just going to change what you like. Mm-hmm. They're just going to change how you think, change what you want.
Yeah.
And so unless you're in a partnership that is understanding of that from the get-go, like set the stage, right? Like that's so important. If the stage is set, as you two are navigating that, you're going to be looking over at the person, right? Because if they haven't figured out who they are yet, developed fully, they're going to be somebody different in 5, 6, 7 years than you married. Yeah. And if you're not expecting that in the beginning, then now you're thinking, man, who is this person that is doing this or wants that? Or if you give us somebody who's a man or a woman who's like, to be honest, like I'm not really big on like my own personal career ambitions. But then 5 years from now, they're like, I want to get after it.
Yes.
And that's not what you walked into.
Yes.
And now you're like, But if you expect that, that's going to be different. But I don't even think, not only do you not do that sometimes as a young couple that's getting married, you don't even know that you like should be doing that.
Yeah.
That's not even on your radar yet.
Right. Who's thinking about that?
Yo, what? You just living life. This person, they made me feel good.
Mm-hmm. Like that's not a mindset. And it's funny because sometimes you'll meet someone or you both are in a space of growth, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then there could come points when stagnation comes. Yeah. So now they are completely complacent. They are fine. They don't want anything more than what's right in front of them. And the other person's not on that wave whatsoever. They're literally trying to grow and develop. And so there's times when people can grow apart or there's times when one leaves the other. Mm-hmm. And it's like that person isn't trying to catch up. That's not, you know what I mean? So do you still even match? Mm-hmm. How can you even broach this conversation or discuss that?
Yeah.
A lot of that is like internal feelings and like internal conflicts that build tension because you don't really even address it. How do you address it when you don't recognize it?
Yeah. And if you look at the stats too, it's like right now, this stat that came out, it was based on data that was released in like 2016. And it said that of the people who are got married between the ages of 20 and 25, 60% of them are divorced now. Think about that. That's wild.
That's a lot.
Right? So
it's like the likelihood is.
Yo, that's 6 out of 10.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you getting into that stat, what we just mentioned, it's huge. It's the way people develop, but it's like to be in that 40% that you got to get right, the amount of things that have to click.
Yeah.
You know, like you really putting yourself in a space that has to be like on point, like you really can't miss.
Yeah.
And that's possible. I know a couple right now in my mind who I think they'll make it, right? But they got some of these core things. But I mean, going all the way back to that. Oh, and this is how this works. I think everything we saying, the reason why it wouldn't work, the flip side of that is if you do this is why it could work. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like take these as notes as possibilities to things to work through, if anything.
But also, no, I'm gonna keep it real. It's like, listen, if somebody out there and they shooting 60%, it's like 6 out of 10 that's gonna go in. So you just gotta know that. So I'm just gonna be real.
Just be aware in the beginning.
Yeah, and listen, I'm just keeping it real with you.
And like also know that these are things we think about for ourselves in general, and like, well, at least for me, I be thinking of this for my future. I'm not just out here talking junk.
Listen, I'm feeling real. I mean, that's just the honest truth. And so look at this too, though. Like this is also how my brain worked with this, right? And if I get married at 20, first of all, forever is a long time.
Sorry, 20-year-old you. Yeah,
forever is a long time, right? So if I get married at 20, and we have to be together for 60 years and keep this right. That's different than me getting married at 35.
True.
I have it's less time. It's less of a window mathematically for me to jack this up, right? And hey, that's just real. Like, listen,
I love your honesty. Keep it up.
It's less time than that for this to be messed up. But even beyond that, the reason why it's less of a window is I have developed the relationships once again. And if y'all remember from our first season, we talked about this, to experience and see what do I not want? What am I not willing to compromise on?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that at 25.
Oh, no. I remember at 25 what I was dealing with, and marriage was nowhere near it. It's like, who am I? Who am I in this role, in this job? It's a new career. How do I, like, that imposter syndrome is taking over. It's like, am I good enough? Am I worth it? I'm really trying to work on me. It was just, that's just not where my priorities were. And would that have been different had I been raised here or somewhere else? You know what I mean? Or in a culture and I'm like, how does that look? What does that look like if you are not in a space where you're able to prioritize yourself? Yeah. Because I feel like that's just so important in your developmental stages. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like post-college or post-high school age is definitely a developmental stage.
I get that.
Yeah.
And this is where I think you and I have different views. As I got older.
We always have different views.
As I got older, my value or how I look at marriage changed. Right? Like the value I put or the weight I put onto what actually being married means changed. Right? Which also means when I get married, my expectations are going to be tempered because I'm going to put most of the value on the front end, which is getting to know somebody, understand somebody, see what their likes and dislikes, the habits in that space. Yeah. And not expect that getting married is going to all of a sudden add this level or layer of like they're going to be perfect or matchmaking or now because we're married, this, that, and the other. Like, I changed that, you know? And so I almost think you're trying to see where the difference is.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
I almost
like,
think
what's
that
different?
Like, the way, like, parts of me sometimes think like, yo, marriage this is me saying I'm committed to you seriously, but it's also part of it's just like, oh, it's just a ceremony and a piece of paper. We've had conversations before and it's like, I don't think you felt that way. It's like, nah, this is like, just actually, I remember the conversation in your house.
He swear he know me.
When you was like, nah, bro, this is like a spiritual union of this, that, and the other.
How long ago was this conversation?
I don't remember. But tell me what you think, though.
Well, I mean, I think this is why I can't understand the difference. Because I'm like, I think my view on marriage has changed over the years also. And it's easy to get confused and lost when you're younger because movies and television, all the rom-coms will teach you one thing.
The rom-com.
What's that?
For people who don't know what a rom-com, because I'm one of them. What's a rom-com?
A romantic comedy. That's the official name.
That was hilarious.
But like it will trick you into believing that this is love, this is marriage, this is what this looks like. This idealistic, fantastical kind of like, you know how Cinderella Disney movies will put like, you're the one for me, you're the one and only. It's like, okay, this is not reality. And as you know, you grow, you realize it's not even close to life. And it's like that love infatuation is what people promote or expect or think of when they think of marriage. And then people put a lot of weight into the wedding, like the ceremony, more than the actual marriage. So I would not say that our views are that different, in a sense of, I do see like legally binding as a commitment, but also because now if something were to happen to you, I am in charge of all your finances. Like, you know what I mean? Like the weight of your life is in my hands also. That's how I see it. It's very lofty to me. It's not something you just kind of like whimsically like, oh yeah, let's just get married. Nah, I'm trusting you with my life at this point. You know what I mean? But I would say probably when we did have that conversation, my views were very different.
No, but I like what you said, though. There is a level of when you get married legally, but also, you know, in a sense, like now, the way you commit it because of the responsibility that's on you, whatever this and the third happened, or, you know, however it works out, it's a little bit different, you know? But going back to the infatuation thing that you mentioned, I think that's more common in, like, the young adult phases. Get married then. Like, you know, because you still are into that space of, like, the swept up of this is how it's going to be.
Those YA books, like, the young adult books, with, like, the Twilight kind of saga thought process and mentality.
You going to get you an Edward. You feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm about to get an Edward. It's going to be dope. Bro, going to be a vampire.
It's so romantic all the time.
Yeah, all that.
Yes.
Oh, yes. And I, like, that right there, you seen the realness come out?
Like, yo, happening, sir?
I do, like, that. Because I'm somebody, I feel like the media society has done that. Like we've made marriage into that. It's like, no, people are like, oh, I had these conversations around it. And it's really in that space of, you know, youthful bliss.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's going to be amazing. And because we love each other and this. And I'm like, yo, love?
What's love got to do with it?
What's love? Like, love is legitimately, in all seriousness, is a working choice.
Yes.
Because it's constantly working and it's constantly a choice.
Daily.
What?
Maybe minute by minute, moment by moment at times.
Some people ride, like, it's really, I'm going to use basketball. I'm a coach, right?
You know I'm not a player, but go on.
I got you. Hey, but you did good not too long ago on a little basketball analogy.
Thank you.
But, like, there are some people who come in and they do amazing just based off talent.
Yeah.
Right? It's like they come in, have talent, and because of your talent, you can do some things. And it gets you momentum, right? And you can ride that momentum for maybe 5 minutes, maybe a quarter, right? Maybe even a whole half. Yeah. But eventually what's going to catch up is the people who are skilled and disciplined and have put in the work. So you might come into a marriage and ride the wave because you have talent in your relationship. Y'all just click. Y'all got chemistry.
Yeah.
And you might ride that momentum for a year, 2 years, 3 years. But eventually, if you're not actually committed putting in the work, right? And not just in your relationship, but on you.
Right.
That's going to come out. And you don't really know that when you come in as a young adult. And I got this saying I love. It's like, yo, 1 + 1 = 3, right? It's me, it's you, and it's the energy we create. And so if I'm only bringing 20% to your 40, there's nothing 100% about this here.
Yeah. That was well put.
Yo, that's real talk.
I mean, I did hear that you need to prep. Like, you need to do all this preparation work before you think. It's like, yeah, let's just ride the wave of how we feeling. It's, you know, we feeling good.
Come on.
That makes so much sense. I love that. Yo, they've said you really need to see someone in all their seasons.
Yeah.
And they'll make the analogy of like winter, summer, spring, or whatever. But truth be told, you need to see people when they're angry, when they're sad, you know, when they're happy, not just on all the joyous, like when things are not going well, who are they? How do they respond? How do they take it on you? You know what I mean? Like, what type of person is this? Because that's when someone isn't wearing their mask anymore. They're not pretending. Ooh, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I'm the perfect partner. Nah, no. Perfection does not exist. Show me who you are.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's funny too? Hey, fact, shout out to Black Panther. But hey, you know what's funny about that too? It's like, because yes, there is, and I've said that, like, the dating has got kind of missed. Dating is amazing. Like, dating, in a 2 years, dating relationships, like, yo, I get to know who you are. Because when we first go out to dinner, bro opening the door. I'm gonna get the bill. He's so nice. He laughing at all the jokes, right? I don't know if we're gonna be like that 6, 8 months after a year. Reality and the beauty about not getting married young, and this, once again, some people are good at this.
Yes.
The beauty about that, if I'm being honest, is that after, like, as you get a little bit older, you stop caring about all the pleasantries all the time. Like, nah, I don't feel like it. Hey, I ain't got time for all that. Yo, son. I got, like, when life ain't hit you as much yet, and you ain't really worried about, like, yo, we got this bill, that, not just the bills, but like this responsibility, this, that, and the other, or like you just have seen enough. Like, nah, I already got time to be putting on the show. I really don't.
Your values are placed somewhere else. It's like, son, you respect me, and that's all I really need. Like,
yeah, okay, you gonna see me, and if you like it, great. If not, that's cool.
Oh, you didn't bring me chocolate today? I'll live. You know what I mean?
People who be saying that, yo, the childishness behind, like, oh, you didn't do this for me. You didn't. It's like, what? Huh?
Like, let's discuss expectations.
Yeah.
Sometimes we come in with different expectations and we never seem to discuss it. But a lot of the times we just don't even recognize our own expectations, right? It's like, it's not even at the fault of anyone as much as I did not know that my ideology of what this relationship was supposed to be is really like interfering with our relationship.
Yeah. Sometimes people may not let us, but I think some of those things be immature when you expect some of these things. And on both parties' sides, like it's like, oh, it's not. Nah, you got to develop beyond that. Like, okay. And then once again, discovering yourself. There are some things that are just different, right? Like, if you don't know that words of affirmation is your thing, or that acts of service is your thing, or that you can really care less about quality time, you know, for real. If you don't know that, then you gonna be confused. How come we not clicking? Right? Because I'm speaking in this language. You don't speak that language. There can be no communication now.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, the thing with dating a lot of times is you just are not around that person 24/7.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get married, you're kind of stuck. Like the pandemic, come on, people were stuck.
By divorce was like,
yeah.
Keep
it's
going.
Like, no, because at this point, it's like, oh, I see you in all of your splendor. Let's call it splendor. Wow. It's like, oh, I don't like this. This is not working for me.
Yo.
Some people are way more clingy. Some people need their space. Some people don't match in that and don't recognize it. Some people cannot communicate that. You know what I mean? It's just, there's so many little things sometimes. I don't know. How do you work through these problems?
Yo, listen to this though.
Oh no.
British law firm looked around the world and saw a 122% increase in files for divorce during the pandemic. What? 34%.
Wow.
Rise in sales of basic divorce agreements in America alone.
Wow.
Yo, you stuck with the. Come on.
Yeah. Work ain't a distraction. Like, you know, there's no social events. You can't hang out with your friends. You are stuck with that person. Yeah. It's like, do I even like you?
Yo, there's nothing hiding you there. And that's what I really want to say. Like, for me, I want it to be like, I'm really with a person who I like and value to the point where, if we're stuck with each other for an exorbitant amount of time, it's like we in this together. We in the pandemic. We don't know what's going on. Right. At the end of the day, we locked in.
Yeah. Is there still humor? Can we still like get along and work together? Can we speak and say, you know, I need a little bit of space today, and it be okay? Does that connection completely break down?
Yeah.
Or does it stay really solid? Yeah. Even though, you know what I mean? It's like the in love thing. That's when you realize, like, what's that? What is this in love?
What is that? What are we talking about there? Nah, but so I think we really like that. That is key. And then sometimes I think about in a young marriage, like the pressures to do that, like the external pressures to get married are different, right? It's like, especially if it's a religious circle or society, depending on where you are, like you mentioned, Rochester versus wherever it was, like, you know what I mean? Brooklyn. It's like there's different views. And so the pressure, you're most susceptible to that. And so I have seen some parents like force upon. It's like, yo, this is not even your marriage. you didn't even do this to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to give grace to realize that because, parents are from the generation before us.
For sure.
So they're coming from like, I need to make sure you're safe. And if you have someone, then I don't have to worry about you type of thing.
For sure.
Yeah. It's, nah. Because sometimes you push them to the wrong person or too early and they're the wrong person.
Ooh, that was a bar.
You feel me?
That was a bar. So look, let me ask you this. What would your advice be to the folks? Like, okay, to the people who are thinking about getting married young or are married young, because it can't work. 6% and 100%.
Yeah.
What is your advice to them? Right? What's your advice to them? Before it's like, hey, if you ain't there yet, think about it, maybe wait a little longer. But what's your advice to them?
I feel like you could say a lot of things in this moment, but
marriage and family therapy.
I know, that's why, because there's so many avenues. But I think it is most important to work through what you are expecting in this relationship, right? Like what you want your marriage to look like, and like just answer certain questions. One for yourself, and then two for that partnership. So like, who are you? What do you like? Who do you want to be? And what do you want? And be very honest. And then kind of ask them the same thing and see how aligned you are.
Yeah.
Like, are we headed in the same direction? And are these things that we can talk through and like work with? Yeah. Or are these things that's just, dang, this may not work? Like what needs to be altered? Like be willing and open to change things for the better and for your betterment, not just for the other person's satisfaction,
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, what are you thinking? Because I know you got some gems in there.
I mean, honestly, it's the same for both parties. If you ain't there yet, if you are there, I think the key thing is this idea of communication, right? I think first knowing like, okay, what's our end goal? Starting off with that. How does this want to look like our marriage and whatever? What's the perfect picture? Start with the end in mind, right? And then work backwards. And then in order for us to get there, what do we need to do in a relationship, right? And then there's this thing like, I've used this example before. I think a lot of people in life, this could be in marriage, this could be whatever it might be. It's like, if you think about a jungle with tall grass, right? And you walking through the tall grass and you're trying to get to a direction. A lot of people are going through the grass, and then when they finally decide to climb up a tree to see where they are, it's like, yo, we went the completely wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right? And now we so far down this road, it's like, dang, do we go back or do we just quit right here? And I think what you really want to do is every so often you want to climb up a tree every however long and say, all right, where are we? Are we going the right way? Check-ins, right? What's going well? What's not going well? What's being unheard? We do that right now for our podcast work. Right. And that prevents so many things, and you can hear people and what's going on.
True.
Like, you got to check in. So I think if you're already on that path and that journey, you got to do that, even when it's hard. If you're not, I think it's the same thing. Have conversations about that and implement those check-ins like seriously, like put those in.
Absolutely.
Every 3 months we talking about this.
Yeah, because that's something that happens where life takes over and you kind of miss those opportunities to connect and don't intentionally make that time. But like take stock of your relationships outside of each other. Yeah. Like how are your friendships going? What is your relationship like with your family? Because all of those wounds or issues or problems or whatever you present and bring will come into your marriage. You bring you. You know what I mean? And sometimes we don't like look at us outside of other people. It's like, oh no, I need to work on this.
Yo, you do.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is the last thing I'll say to them too is, you might be listening right now, thinking, what in the world are they talking about?
I cannot with you.
We might be right.
We might be wrong.
But at the end of the day,
we just young, black, and figured it out.